What's up, everyone? Welcome to another Game Explained discussion, our day one wrap-up. We got back not too long ago, because and it feels like we've been at E3 for ages already. It's still day one. But we're here to give our overall summary, our overall thoughts on everything we saw today, which, of course, wasn't a whole lot because of how busy we've been. But we want to go over the Direct again, give our final impressions of it so far, and so yeah, our final impressions so far, that made sense. As well as the games we did play, our thoughts on how, on what we, our thoughts on what we think of them. Yes, there we go. This is going swimmingly. Yeah. So
we're tired.
So let's just hop into it. Let's start off with the Direct, because I think that was a highlight of the day overall. Like, how do you top freaking Banjo in Smash? Like, that was what an exciting moment, right?
The dream came true. I'm so hyped, as we all are. I'm so happy. They look perfect. It's not the nuts and bolts design. It is how he looked in Banjo-Kazooie and Tooie. I'm so happy. Happy.
I love the nuts and bolts design, but I think they kind of nailed it here. Like, I also love how he looks in Smash.
Yeah.
I actually thought I saw some nuts and bolts merged with it. It wasn't a pure.
It's not pure N64 Banjo, right? They take
like
the best of both
teeny
worlds.
Tinge, in my opinion. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's what I felt. But yeah, so excited. I've wanted that ever since Smash was originally released, because I always thought it was part of Nintendo back then as a kid.
It's not just Banjo, Spiral Mountain. It looks so good.
Yes, and that new Grant Kirkhope rearrangement of Spiral Mountain. Yeah.
That is fantastic.
So good.
So in the broader sense, how are we all feeling after, now that we've had some time to process the Direct? How are we feeling on it now? We were all feeling pretty good before, but I noticed a trend for us. We're always excited immediately after the Direct. And then the day goes on, we're like, it wasn't that good, actually.
Yeah.
Did we have that this time?
I think it's one of the greats.
Yeah.
Like, the best Direct they've ever done.
Yeah.
And the thing is this E3 has just been It's been okay.
Yeah.
Most of the conferences had a few games. Not very many were actually demoed as games. They're just sort of cutscenes. Whereas pretty much every game in this 45-minute Direct was packed. The pacing was great. Almost every game mattered. And I went away just feeling really good about this, and I'm still processing just how much they showed.
Yeah, we were rewatching trailers, and it's like, wow, we missed some of the stuff that that happened when it happened during the Direct. Right. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm feeling super great. I know in the Square Enix discussion we did yesterday, I was feeling pretty deflated that we didn't get Collection of Mana. And not only did we get that, we also got a full 3D remake of Trials of Mana, which, again, Seiken Densetsu 3, which I don't think any of us saw that coming.
Like, it looks way better than the Secret of Mana remake.
Way better. Not even close. So that's... And it shadow dropped. Yeah. Collection of Mana is out now.
We got 2 shadow drops today between Collection of Mana and...
The Last Remnant.
Contra. Yeah, well, Last Remnant, but Contra Anniversary Collection came out there.
Right, it did. Yeah, Contra's out.
So that happened, and then on Friday, Cadence of Hyrule.
Yeah, that's soon.
Yeah.
Which you played a while ago.
Yeah, it's a funny story. So I played that game like a month and a half ago. And the preview was supposed to go up pretty soon thereafter, but it kept getting pushed back until today.
Huh.
So,
it got buried.
It got completely buried by the rest of the coverage, but what are you going to do? Yeah, so I think we're all feeling pretty good after that Direct. There was so much in it. And even though a lot of it covered, ground of announcements or of games we already knew about, we didn't know a whole lot about those games. Animal Crossing we knew almost nothing about, or most of us didn't. Apparently I did. Luigi's Mansion looks so much better now, and we played it too, of course. So maybe this is a good time to just hop into our impressions from what we played. I think most of us had the chance to play Luigi's Mansion.
Yeah.
So how do we feel, how are we feeling on the actual gameplay mechanics of it?
Well, Amy, do you want to go first?
Okay. I was not ready for that, but yeah.
Throw it to you.
I loved it, actually. I enjoyed playing it more than watching it. I don't know, something about it's just that feedback of throwing the ghosts around is so much fun. And this is weird, but I feel like Luigi's so jiggly. He's got all this physics. He's just like a Jello man.
He is super. Which is fitting. He has Luigi too.
Yeah.
Luigi's even more jiggly.
Oh, he does a whole T1000 thing, going through the spikes.
That's so good.
And they had lots of secrets too. It was really fun.
Yeah,
It was a fun demo.
Luigi's super expressive in this game, which is something Next Level Games also nailed in Dark Moon, but they are ramping up to 11 here. You see the excitement now, in his animations when he's happy, and how scared. I mean, we said he always looks scared. He looks especially scared this time.
Every time you enter a room, Luigi has some sort of different reaction.
Yeah.
It's really just sells that everything. Like we saw the opening cutscene. That is so charming.
Apparently no one else thought to record it except for us, so you're welcome. Yeah, we sat there awkwardly for 5 minutes recording this demo.
Yeah, they were like, do you want to skip this?
No.
It looks really high budget too.
It does.
Luigi's Mansion is always kind of like a visual showcase for the system, and when it was debuted last September, it was just kind of like, it looks good, but it didn't look like mind-blowing.
Right.
Whereas this does look like one of the best-looking Switch games.
Yeah.
It got a massive improvement since the
Yeah.
The
reveal.
colors are so vibrant. I love it.
Yeah, it looks like they got the lighting effects, in place now properly. Yeah, so I'm excited to play more. But what I did play, like as you were saying, like it's fun just to smash those ghosts around, especially because like it introduces like a sense of physicality that we haven't really had before, where like you're like just bashing things and blowing things up,
And
and
it's
hit them
definitely
on other
enhanced by that.
That's
new
something I
plunger.
really like.
yeah, you can use a
Yeah.
plunger to pull open things and
Yeah.
break open.
And I've used one ghost to smack another one. Like it was so much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool how they make Luigi feel kind of empowered in a way. I noticed at one point when I was using ghosts to beat other ghosts, one of the ghosts I was against got scared of Luigi for once. Like,
Yeah.
he started backing off and
like,
wanting Luigi to stop. Like, please don't beat
Yeah.
me with my friend.
No, I was telling Andre, I actually didn't get to play Luigi's Mansion 3 today, but I watched Andre play, and I love how the slam move makes Luigi kind of badass. It makes him cool. Like,
Also, best tutorial in the game. The demo starts off, you're just sort of playing with the polterpup, and that's how you find out the mechanics.
Yeah.
So you're pulling it back and forth. That's every game to start off with a dog just
And they're
playing
so
with the
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
They play off each other too. Like the dog is so happy, like yeah, you did it. And then
Yeah.
he's like,
The
But John-
pup when you're pulling him close and then blowing away.
yeah.
That's really good.
So
but John,
cool.
can you pet the polter
I
pup?
hope you can.
Can you
Okay.
vacuum?
We didn't.
I will say though, was I the only one missing the dual analog controls of the GameCube version? Like, I felt like I'm not still a huge fan of when you start using the flashlight or the poltergust, you're locked in that direction.
Yeah.
So it makes it a lot harder, I find, to target the ghost that I've stunned, for instance, if I'm not.
It did feel a little awkward. I feel like that would go away pretty quickly though, because I acclimated it.
Well,
Yeah.
to it
I mean, I think the other games had options to help me with that.
I
and
mean, there might
this-
be
They
options.
probably will be there. So yeah.
This should have also been a showcase for HD Rumble.
And it wasn't
I
there.
didn't really notice
Exactly.
any.
Like, you should have felt like a little gust of wind going through the Joy-Con.
Well, even just the slams. Like,
Right.
Yeah, the slam. Yeah, I definitely
Oh,
noticed
yeah.
the absence of it. It's something I don't
Yeah.
notice too often, but it felt like it would really enhance it here. I'm sure it'll be there in the final game.
Of course.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
absolutely.
Right.
And one thing I was wondering about Luigi's Mansion is basically you can switch between to Luigi, but you can continue vacuuming a ghost while switching over. So maybe you can kind of do co-op moves or be more powerful against ghosts and team up them for some puzzles. That'd be
Yeah.
interesting.
Could be.
It really did feel like the perfect blend between 1 and 2. Like,
Yeah.
just the best elements from both put into this one game, and I'm way more excited now than I ever was for this game.
I kind of
Me
feel like
too.
it shouldn't have been revealed so early. Like
Yeah.
this is the debut for me, I think.
yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, the hype for me is way higher after playing it.
Even the boss fight was fun, which
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was fun.
It gave us a like. What do you think? Is that closer to Portrait Ghost?
yeah, I would say yeah. I mean, it's a similar idea. Yeah, like a completely unique ghost style,
Right.
for the most part. So yeah, so I guess that kind of is a return of them in spirit.
Nice.
Yep.
Had to go there.
All right, well maybe that's a good time to move on to other Nintendo games we played, plus more. Link's Awakening. So we had a chance to go through the demo, which is pretty comprehensive. It might just be, like, as far as I know, the whole game might just be there.
Yeah.
Right.
It's 15 minutes, which cuts you off. And I got to the first temple, and there's a whole lot of things you have to do before that point. Like, I kind of remembered what to do for the most part. And yeah, the game looks great. Like, I love the art
Yeah.
style of this game. The thing that stood out to me though is just that it feels a little bit unpolished at this point.
Right.
In that the game doesn't run that well. Like it runs
Yeah.
it runs at 60 frames per second indoors, and you'll occasionally hit that outside, but most of the time it like drops down to 30, if not
Yeah.
lower, it feels
Yeah.
like.
The loading's a bit weird too. So the game never really loads apart from when you go indoors, and that means the world is seamless.
Right.
So when you're walking from the village into the forest, you can sort of see in the background that the water kind of shimmers away as you go. So the transitions aren't quite so seamless. And also the loading times, while there aren't many, they are long. If you go inside a house, you're there for like 6 seconds waiting for it to load.
Which is on the Game Boy it was instant.
Right.
Yeah, it needs some optimization, but like I'm confident it's going to get that. I mean, look at the Link Between Worlds. Like, this is Nintendo. This is going to be running super well when it comes out. And I really loved what I played, you guys. I'm so happy with how it's coming together. And I think something Andre and I both noticed was the increased focus on defense in combat.
Yeah.
You really have to use your shield even more than you did in the original, because you have to stagger enemies, even moblins in the Lost Woods or whatever. Yeah, you have to stagger them by using your shield before you can get a good hit in.
Totally. Yeah. Like if you're having showdown and they're like throwing a spear at you, they all sort of judder backwards. It's super satisfying.
Yeah, I like the enhancements to the combat. It made it feel a little bit more dynamic. I feel like than rather on the Game Boy where it's like poke, poke, poke.
Yeah.
But otherwise, like the game seems very faithful to the original. Like everything was exactly where I remembered it. There have been, of course, just looking much better now. There have been some tweaks though. I think the crane game feels more physics based now.
Yes.
And when you walk into like a pot or a rock, it will no longer say you need the power glove to pick up this rock.
Right.
You have to press A now.
Exactly.
Yeah, thank God.
Yeah, so much better. And if you like, there's lots more foxes in the town as well.
So
And if you hit them, they'll bite you.
Yeah.
They
don't
don't
like you.
However, the cuckoos won't.
I hit them so many times.
Yeah.
They did not attack me.
Yeah.
I felt.
It's pretty telling that John went straight to animal abuse.
I know, right?
Oh yeah, and we spent a good like 5 minutes just like harping on these poor animals.
Well-
you guys also tried to do the stealing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Andre and you and I tried to steal from that poor shopkeeper for like 3 minutes.
Half the demo, yeah.
Yeah.
John tried to as well. It
It's
didn't
clearly
work.
not finished yet.
It's not in there. Yeah.
There's a lot there, but it seems like it's still like this is an early build.
I mean, it could have been cut too. We don't
Yeah, do you
know.
think
Well,
they'll
even in
actually
its
keep that?
unfinished state, the game is still adorable.
Yeah.
When you're going around the town, you see all these NPCs. They're so expressive. Everything is so expressive. There's so much motion. It's a beautiful game.
It's
It is.
beautiful.
It's a lot of fun going around town and seeing all the updated models for all these characters that you remember as a kid, and it's like, oh, this is what they looked like in 3D, and it's really cool.
Yeah. Well, another game might get that sense in is Pokemon Sword and Shield, which I believe a couple of us got to play.
Yeah.
We tried to
Yeah.
play it today.
Yeah. So,
It's the one thing that stuck out to me the most about this demo was just how expressive the characters are now. There are so many more emotions on a character's face. Your characters, the other trainers, it really does pop on screen, and it feels really good. And we got a sense of how the gyms work, where you still have to go through and challenge the other trainers, and solve little puzzles, and then you basically it's a challenge to reach the stadium itself, so you can actually do the gym fight. And it felt really good. Of course, smart thing they did is just it's completely separate from everything else. It's just on its own. It's structured around it, so it's completely unique. And it feels good. You got to see a lot of new Pokemon. You got to try out the different moves. You had to. There's a lot of cool things to check out. It's very limited. You're not going to see a ton, but what was there, I really enjoyed.
Yeah, you can't pause in this demo.
Right.
We tried to view that the Pokemon, the Pokedex, you just can't pause.
No, you can't do anything. They are like taking no risks on this.
Yeah.
One thing I did notice was that the battles still had that delay sometimes, like you see in
Let's
Sun
Go.
and Moon and Let's Go.
Right.
It still has that kind of. It feels it takes a little longer than it should sometimes for a move to like register.
Yeah.
So there's definitely still those kind of battle engine slight issues in terms of that delay, but I had a lot of fun with it. And Nessa's design, the new gym leader, she's cool. I love.
She's awesome.
Yeah, she's a really cool
Speaking of
design.
new designs.
Yes, I know where
in
you're
this
going.
demo, there is an electric corgi.
Yamper. Dynamaxed Yamper is the best thing in this game. None of you are going to convince me otherwise. I don't
I
care
don't know.
what else gets added.
Giant Wooloo is amazing.
Exactly.
Fair enough. But still, an electric corgi. I'm so
We
excited.
also got another Pokemon that what's his name?
I didn't see that
He's
one
a
actually.
funny-looking fella.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's a very dark type, and he doesn't quite look like a Pokemon to me. He kind of reminds me of Amy. You know this from the Dancing Devil from Dragon Quest.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he kind of reminded me of
he
that.
Kind of look like that.
He's
Yeah.
just like a red guy dancing around a little bit. It's fine. I mean, I'll get used to him, but it didn't quite. It felt like a weaker design than usual.
Right.
Yeah.
But the core elements of Sword and Shield seem really solid.
Yes.
Like I think we were at Dynamax Wooloo, and there's like
Yeah.
a tiny Goldeen, and the scale is so impressive.
That was so funny.
Yeah.
One thing sorry, go ahead.
Oh, it's like they've really taken the capabilities of the Switch and made everything huge.
Yeah.
They couldn't have done this on 3DS.
It's like they
It's-
said,
Oh, yeah,
let's go
for sure.
big.
Right.
Literally.
Yeah, let's get, everything is
Everything.
big.
go big or go home to your home in Kanto.
Yeah. One thing I appreciated was that each demo station had headphones, so you could actually hear a kind of a preview of the music, and it was hard to hear over the show floor noise, but that.
That's just you getting older, Ash.
That's true too. But that gym leader battle theme is pretty fire from what I could tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
I came away with a different impression from all of you. I was not blown away by Sword and Shield in what I played. It felt to me like I love Pokemon games, and I will certainly enjoy playing Sword and Shield, but it was a 3DS game, but bigger, as far as I was concerned. I don't think this was the right area to show. Like, once you get out of the gym and into the actual battle against the gym leader, things do take a bit of a turn, and it's a lot more cinematic and a lot more engrossing with how they prep you for this battle. Like, you have the conversation going between them, and it does look a lot nicer, but it still gives kind of a 3DS Pokemon vibe. I really wish they would have demoed the wild area instead, where you can move the camera, and it's just very different, and shows that, you know, they're taking the series in a new direction, that there's something actually tangibly different about this game.
Yeah,
agreed.
That's a good point. It would have been cool to have like a Breath of the Wild style Great Plateau demo where you get a small area of the wild area to explore.
But the thing is, with the Breath of the Wild demos, they were like an hour long.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't quite work. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
They wanted to get the lines moving.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. We all of us, Steve and Amy and I, played Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. Okay, so
We did.
this game, I think people are kind of torn on it, and none of us had a good time with it.
I can
Nice.
objectively say that it is a game,
It is.
and it's on the Switch.
Right,
It has those things going for it.
Yeah.
I liked flying.
Yeah, I mean, the roster's good. The roster of characters is great. Just the general gameplay is so mindless. You're
Yeah.
going from place to place, you're just like
Two
mashing
moves,
the entire
basically.
time. The demo culminated with just a fight with 30 generic ninjas. And
Yeah.
it took a
Wow.
long time to go down. Like, we're hitting them for maybe 10 seconds each. And it's all of us like going together. And the co-op mechanics don't feel good either. Because if you go too far away from someone, you just can't scroll anymore.
Yeah.
And the screen space doesn't go that far. So it just doesn't feel like great for co-op, doesn't feel great for single player. I'm not feeling it.
Right.
I don't get this because it sounds like they are completely nailing what that series is.
Yeah, you know, when the camera zooms out too, it's difficult to tell what is going on exactly. I was playing as Iron Man and flying around, and I would lose my character really frequently, and they'll teleport it without telling you that's going to happen. There's no visual cue to tell you that your character has been moved halfway across the screen, and they'll randomly just stop flying. Like, Iron Man would just drop out of the air, and there was nothing to tell me like, oh hey, you ran out of a meter, or we just decided to drop you because this game's terrible.
Well, like, if you're a fan of Marvel, I think there's stuff there for you. Like,
No.
we were going around the demo, and the defenders were there. There was Jessica Jones and Luke Cage. They were sort of telling their NPCs going throughout the story. If you want it for that, I think maybe there's something for you, but just the game itself.
Buy a comic book.
The fan service is there, but it sounds like, which is kind of surprising me because seeing like the gameplay, it seems like okay, this could be good fun, but
I enjoyed the
it just
cutscenes.
seems a little.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's just a little too mindless.
Right.
It really is. It's just a button masher.
You have like two
with a
moves,
Marvel
right?
skin
You
on
have
it.
like heavy attack and light attack.
You have three moves. You have heavy attack, light attack, and then you can hold down the R button and push light attack to do a third attack. And
Yeah.
then
I
once
missed
you
that
fill up a
one.
meter, you can push L and R to do what I think they call a synergy attack.
Oh, is
But
that the
they
co-op
seem
move?
it seemed like a really generic one. It's like a laser shot between all of us, even though not all of our characters could shoot lasers, and something blew up.
Yes, it's weird. We had like Miles Morales, Captain Marvel, and who was the other character we had there?
Iron
Like
Man.
Iron Man, yeah.
Yeah.
And they just, I don't know what happened. There's just like a big explosion. It's like, what? What moves make this
Yeah, I mean, I
explosion?
could see Captain Marvel and Iron Man, but
I
they
think Miles Morales
kill
is like-
Spider-Man in the middle.
Explosive web, there you go.
This seems like a good place to slot in really quickly that I got to play Super Lucky's Tale.
Also,
Yeah, I was actually, it was really charming.
and the port too holds up.
Yeah, I actually
Yeah.
really enjoyed what I played of it. It didn't, like, I was going into it with kind of like, I wasn't sure what to expect.
Yeah.
It's polished, it's fun, it's cute, like,
Right,
it's
and
charming.
and it seems to sacrifice almost nothing from
Yeah.
the Xbox
Right.
version.
No, I
It's
really liked
truly
it.
And
impressive.
this is a Microsoft game.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Microsoft Game Studios game. And yeah, I've not played this game before, but I had a really good time with it.
Yeah, this is,
I
yeah.
want to play it.
Yeah,
Like, it's
super
really
charming.
fun.
Yeah, I don't think
Yeah.
this is one to sleep on. Like, it may not be the kind of thing that a lot of Switch owners are like, oh, whoa, what is this? But don't sleep on it because it was actually pretty cool.
That game doesn't sound too like it's too compatible with Pokemon Sleep then. Well, there was another Mario game some of us had the chance to play, being Mario and Sonic at the 2020 Tokyo Olympic Games. Thank you. So many words to get through
Long
there.
title.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we thought this looked a lot better we thought this looked a lot better in the Nintendo Direct than some of the previous games that came out before in the Olympic series. But what do you guys think of actually going hands-on with it?
It didn't demo that well because a lot of the games revolve around motion controls, and there was some interference.
But you can use, I think they have button controls for all of them as well.
Yeah, they're insisting we use Joy-Con though, and it didn't work that well.
Well, to be fair,
interesting.
they were insisting you use that at the Nintendo booth.
Right,
I played it at the Sega booth this morning, and they were all about letting me choose my control scheme, and I played everything with buttons. And some of the ones that are more difficult with motion control, like surfing, are absolutely lovely with button controls. It's more like a rhythm game with just timed presses, and you do these cool tricks, but unfortunately, they didn't let us capture anything at the Sega booth.
Oh, right.
It was quite funny because I was having interference. I was playing with Amy, and we were doing, was it karate?
Karate.
And I was Sonic, and you were Peach.
And I kicked your butt.
Yeah, my buttons weren't doing anything. So Peach just punches Sonic in the face and knocks him out. And
That's
passes him around.
As God intended.
Yeah, Andre and I had a moment like that where we were actually playing Bowser and Peach karate, and Bowser just clocks Peach, and there was something that just didn't feel right watching that, but it was really funny.
It's interesting they brought that back because I know in previous ones they had boxing and then they kind of limited which character could be used for which events, probably because they didn't want other characters beating up on the female characters.
No, and make no
now they're
mistake,
like, whatever.
Like Bowser just clocked Peach in our demo. Like it wasn't even like he didn't hold back at all.
I saw your footage and it was a lot of fun seeing Peach just flip Bowser around.
That was cool too.
That's kind of cathartic.
Oh yeah, seeing Peach wail on people in karate is probably one of the most satisfying experiences that I had today.
Yeah.
I thought it looked cool. She
Yeah.
was, like, really hitting hard.
Girl power, yeah.
Right. And all the costumes are really interesting too, because every game has each character in a different costume.
Yeah.
It just adds it's like a great vibe to this
It
game.
adds a lot more personality.
It does,
to
yeah.
I will say that I don't ever need to see Sonic in a tank top ever again. I don't like it. I don't like it.
I saw a picture flying around online. I don't know if we saw it, but I think during swimming, Eggman is not wearing a shirt.
Oh, man.
He's just in swim trunks.
I will say, seeing Eggman do almost anything, but especially skateboarding, is hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, I was losing it.
Yeah.
So I think I need to play this game more. I mean, I had fun with it, but it was largely just because we're seeing characters do these weird, random activities.
Right,
The biggest issue I think on being on the show floor is, as John kind of alluded to, but even with button controls, like it's kind of a lot to take in. These aren't like as simplistic as like Wii Sports was.
Right.
These feel a little more involved, a little bit more like Ash and I were doing surfing, and neither of us had any idea what was going on for a while.
Yeah.
I think I started getting the hang of it a little bit, but I don't feel like I won earnestly. So it's something that's gonna. I mean, I guess that means there's some depth there, which is good.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit. I wish there were it was a little bit better getting you into it.
Yeah,
You only
bring
got
someone
one
who's
hang,
not
not 10.
such a gamer.
Yeah.
I would say my favorite mini game of what I played was the skateboarding though.
Skateboard was fun. Yeah,
because we played with motion controls and it was fun.
good.
Like the way you flick the Wii remote up or the Joy-Con up as you go up the ramp. It was pretty cool.
Or how you tilt it back and forth, make sure you're when you're grinding. Make sure you got the angle.
Yeah.
Right.
And
I enjoyed that.
While only 6 of them were playable, we saw the full menu, and it looks like there's a ton of variety there.
Yeah.
And in the trailer, there's a weird bit where it goes retro for a moment. And
Right.
that's in the menu.
And you see the icon.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you see like a 8-bit Mario and a 16-bit Sonic
Right.
in the menu, but no one will tell us what it does.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And previous games had these dream events where they sort of take these characters and put them in areas from the actual games. And I wonder if this retro thing's replacing that.
Oh, that could
I
be.
can see
Now,
that.
I don't think so because 4 or 5 of the events were dream events in that menu.
Okay.
That's true.
Just something new there, maybe.
It really feels like that time they took off not doing the 2018 Olympics really helped.
It
this.
seemed like I think
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
needed it.
This is a much more polished package.
Right.
Absolutely.
I think that was most of the playable stuff from Nintendo.
For Nintendo, yeah, I think I covered it for us. There was some
Well-
more stuff on the show floor we didn't get to,
course.
I think.
Oh,
But,
Resident Evil
Yeah, I was
5.
gonna say-
Big. Ash played Resident Evil 6, and
Yes.
Ash, tell me the bad news.
So
you want to hear it again, John?
yeah. So the bad news.
First of all, he played Resident Evil 6. That's bad.
Yeah, that's the bad news.
So Capcom was demoing the Switch version of Resident Evil 6. I got to play a level from Chris's campaign in like a busted up town. And so the bad news is that there is no gyro, no motion control. I couldn't get any confirmation. I asked and they said they couldn't say. So, with RE4, maybe not the best news. However, I got to say, there's actually some really good HD rumble, surprisingly. I don't know why they would add that and not the other,
Right.
but there was a really cool kick to it when I was using Chris's assault rifle, and it actually felt really cool. Like they actually put effort in the HD rumble, so that gives me a little hope that maybe they're going to actually do this properly, unlike 4.
How can you
But
play HD
1 and
Rumble in
0?
6 and not?
I know, right?
And the game that really needs it is, speaking to Chris, is Resident Evil 5. You need the motion control so you can punch a boulder
yeah.
and
Yes.
the rumble.
Yes.
Yeah.
And motion controls just for that one instance, like the Joy-Con. Just
You can't progress until you do that. Yeah.
Beautiful.
I will say that was not the only Switch game I played at Capcom. They also had Devil May Cry playable, and it's Devil May Cry on Switch. There's nothing special about it. I don't think there's even HD Rumble. Certainly not gyro. Not that you need it for that game, but if you really want to play Devil May Cry on Switch, it's fine. But it does absolutely nothing to impress you, at least from what I saw. It is just a very standard port. It doesn't look great. It's fine.
Right.
Yeah.
Sounds in line with the other Resident Evil ports.
Yeah, it's
Unfortunately.
fine. There's nothing special about it from what I could tell, though.
Yeah.
Now, Steve, I think you and Derek?
No,
Ash. Yeah, you guys went to. You guys got to see one of your favorite games.
Oh,
right?
yes. Nice.
We had a very long appointment where we got to check out Final Fantasy VII Remake, and we did actually play it.
Yes.
And it delivered.
Fastest 20 minutes of my life.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we did have a behind closed doors meeting where we were able to have the developers walk us through the very beginning of the game, complete with tutorials and all the kind of boring stuff. But it was kind of neat to see it because it kind of made the game feel real. Like
Yeah.
this is not just a scripted presentation where everything looks artificially beautiful. This was exactly what we saw during the Square
Playable,
Enix presentation,
exactly, yeah.
but being played. And then we got to go hands-on, and why don't you tell them what it was we played?
So basically, the demo that we got to... Nice.
Great, Andre's getting bored.
Yeah.
It's the greatest
Finally
game
has
of all
something
time,
to do.
Andre.
Yeah.
Show some
Sure
decorum.
Just yawning.
Jeez. So the part that we watched was everything from the intro up to the Scorpion Sentinel fight, previously known as the Guard Scorpion. But then we got to play the boss fight, and man, it was intense.
Yeah.
Again, it was like you said, it was everything we saw, but it was playable. And
Yeah.
and what I like about it is that it was difficult. There was a challenge. There was a real challenge element to it. And the boss fight was a lot more strategic than it used to be. There's a lot of strategy involved in this game now, where you actually have to switch between Cloud and Barret and use their attacks properly.
Yeah.
Such as only Barret has the Thunder Spell, and you need to use that to get good damage on the Scorpion boss. Just the way that you can charge up your ATB bars, switching between characters back and forth, it's a lot of fun, and it's a much more solid implementation of the battle system than I expected from the remake.
Absolutely, and it's so responsive too.
Yeah.
When you hit square, it is a 1-to-1. There's an attack for every hit of the button, and it feels less like Final Fantasy 15 and more like a proper action RPG. It is just incredibly satisfying, and it is a bit overwhelming. Like there's a lot of stuff going on in that fight. And like you said, when the Scorpion retreats to the wall, you do have to switch to Barret if you want to do anything to it, because you can only use his long-range weapon. And
Were you able to bear it?
Jeez.
I hate you.
One thing that I don't think that the demo they showed on the Square Enix presentation went into was that each character has a unique move, like a unique desperation move type thing they can do, where if you press triangle, like Cloud can actually switch stances. He has two different forms that he can use. One is speed based, one is power based, and then what was it Barret could do again? His special ability? Was it? Oh man,
I can't recall.
I know.
I spent so much time playing with Clouds. They were called Operator and Punisher. And when he goes into Punisher form, he kind of lifts the Buster Sword up above his shoulder level and just does insane damage. He's a lot slower, but I mean, he took out everything I hit with one or two strikes.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I really have nothing bad to say about it. Like the animations, I think that's part of it too. The animations are so polished and so cool that I think that's part of that one-to-one feel. Like Cloud just looks badass, the way he moves, the way it just looks, it looks great, it feels great, the music, oh my god,
and
everything about it.
And the dialogue is genuinely entertaining. All of Cloud's new lines fit the character really well, and some of them were genuinely funny. There were a couple moments where I actually laughed at the way Cloud would dunk on Barret as they were going through the reactor.
Yeah, I think one of the things they said to us during our presentation part that I think really stuck with me, I think people need to go into it realizing it's even less a remake than it is a reimagining. It is truly a reimagining of this story and this world that is expanding on the characters and the story and the lore, and not just trying to remake the story. It really is a from the ground up reimagining of what FF7 is and what the story is and what the world is. And I think that's exciting. I don't think people should ever have expected a 1-to-1 remake because I don't think that's is interesting, personally.
Right.
Yeah.
We've seen this game and played it in a ton of different forms over the last couple decades.
Right.
It needs to be something new like this.
Right.
Steve, here's a question. How long did it take for the combat to click with you?
No time.
Oh, man.
I mean, it was instantaneous. Well, I was, the only thing that took me even more than just a split second was I had to look down and figure out how to dodge because in the demo we played, it didn't explicitly tell you. But once I had that figured out, I mean, the ATB system was so freaking great. I mean, like, I thought, like, oh, it would break up the flow of combat and it might feel a little weird, but before I knew it, I was switching between characters on the fly and casting spells. I would throw Thunder with Barret and then go back to Cloud so I could do some damage and build both their meters, and it sounds like so much to manage, but the control scheme and everything, it just lends itself to fluidly switching off and managing all this stuff without really thinking about it, even after just a few minutes of play.
What I'm hearing is that Final Fantasy VII Remake has a more intuitive control scheme than Mario and Sonic.
Yes.
Especially surfing.
Especially.
Another thing I really liked about it was that you really have to think on your feet, literally, because there's environmental context for some of the attacks you have to avoid, like with the Scorpion's tail laser. You have to hide behind debris. You can't just try to dodge it. You have to run to a specific point to avoid getting damaged. So it's not just about hacking away. Do not go into this game thinking you can just hack away at enemies without without going with the strategy, because you just cannot.
Well, Final Fantasy VII Remake is all well and good, Ash. But there was another remake at the show that we glossed over in our initial reactions, and that is Panzer Dragoon Remake.
Yes.
I don't know how we forgot this.
Yeah.
I love Panzer Dragoon. It's like one of my favorite Sega Saturn franchises, and this remake looks insane.
It's
Yeah.
gorgeous.
It looks
so
beautiful.
fun.
When they
Yeah.
announced this remake, I was expecting the worst. The studio that makes this, they did the Fear Effects. Is it
Sedna. Yeah.
And it was a bit, but with the supervision of Sega, obviously, they have made something that looks really special. And obviously, it wasn't playable, but my expectations are just sky high for this now.
Yeah, and it says so much about the quality of the Direct that we all forgot about it.
There was a lot
Yeah.
in that direct.
There's
Yeah.
a lot to keep track of.
Right, it's just beautiful. It's better than I thought anybody could have done, including Sega with this game. And I'm so excited to see more of it. I'm a little bummed that it's not on the show floor or anywhere to be seen at this E3, but kudos to them for making something that looks this gorgeous, and kudos to Nintendo for managing to bury it.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess I just throw in really quick that I did play a 20-minute demo of Monster Hunter World Iceborne, and as a completely new, I'm a complete newcomer to Monster Hunter, I don't play it at all. I actually had fun. It looks really nice. It was pretty cool. I had no idea what I was doing, but I felt that thrill when we were all playing in a networked, game. I felt that thrill when my team, we took down that monster, and I was like, okay, I don't play this series, but I get it. I get the appeal. So, for you Monster Hunter fans out there, I thought Iceborne was cool, and all the snow effects, it looks really nice. So, yeah.
Very cool. Now, I know you're a big Contra fan as well, John. What do you think of Contra Rogue Corps?
So, oh man, I was a bit deflated by this, honestly, because I am a big Contra fan, and the Anniversary Collection, it sounds amazing. But
just out now.
this new game barely resembles Contra, and I think you put it in quite a solid way, where it just looks like it's trying to be wacky rather than trying to resemble the legacy of this franchise.
We got a panda character, like a cyborg panda character, and
Right.
some sexy woman. Why? That's not Contra.
Exactly.
Pandas can be sexy women.
That's true too. But the thing is Contra hasn't been around for a while, and I think to try and reinvent it is a weird move.
Are you saying it contradicts itself?
It does
It does.
itself, Andre.
God, Andre.
Stop going rogue.
But they've tried being 3D before on the PlayStation. It didn't really work.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of baffled why they're trying to do this now rather than just doing something along the lines like Contra 4, just something that resembles Contra.
Well, there's so many bullets going across the screen, but I never felt I couldn't. There was no sense of impact with any of it.
Exactly.
Right. And we've seen them deviate from the the usual aesthetics of Contra before while still delivering with the Hardcore Uprising. That was a cool game. It wasn't Contra necessarily, but it still kind of it kept the series core gameplay kind of more intact than what we're seeing here.
Right. And I think if you didn't have that title at the end, I would have no idea that this is Contra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least bring back some of the music or something, you know?
Yeah, the music did nothing for me.
Yeah.
It's not
That whole trailer.
They did, we're not going to take it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
true.
yeah.
That whole trailer
I
didn't do
literally
it for me.
forgot.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, they teased Contra back in 2011. I think it's like just before E3, there's a teaser site for Contra, and then nothing happened. So it's like, did they just sit on this game for like 7 years?
That was the joke I made to you. Was they just this is the 2011 game? They just ported it to Switch.
Yeah.
It just looks so incredibly generic. Like it's
Even
just
Konami
a game
forgot.
that's crazy for the sake of being crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is cool Konami's doing something new at least.
Hey, that's true.
Yeah,
That's not
Konami's
bad.
trying to do
bad.
something. They're
Yeah.
trying to come back. Speaking of, out of nowhere, I don't even know where this was announced by Konami, but a freaking TurboGrafx-16 Mini.
Yeah.
What?
Okay.
Yeah.
Why?
That came out of nowhere.
I mean, it's cool. It's a
Yeah.
cool idea. Why is
Especially
Konami making this again?
Yeah.
The mini consoles are all the rage, and everybody can do it better than Sony.
Right.
Yeah.
Fair
Yeah.
play.
And that
Books
was
Well,
one and
wait,
two,
but you
what else
haven't
is
given
on there?
Konami a
Yeah,
chance.
That's true.
Books 1 and 2. It's
It's a
hard
good
to-
lineup.
It's 6 games so far, but the 6 games are different between Japanese version and the American and Europe.
Right.
But they're good games. Dracula X or Rondo of Blood is on the Japanese version. We probably get it on the US version. It's
Probably.
hard to tell, but
What makes this interesting as well is with the NES and Super Nintendo and Mega Drive, we all own those systems.
Right.
Do all of us own TurboGrafx?
Nope.
No, I was gonna say I never had one.
Never-
so-
It's kind
this,
of cool.
this
Yeah.
is more appealing because
Yeah.
it's like, oh wow, I've never played any of these games. So yeah.
That's true. They're all new to us.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Right, to me that almost makes it more interesting in a way.
I agree.
Because I didn't have one either. I didn't play the vast majority of those games. It is kind of cool to get those offered back to you in a way that's not insanely expensive.
Yeah.
True.
Absolutely.
So, do we play anything else today we haven't touched on yet that you want to bring up, or?
I think that's the gist of the show floor demos we played.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think we pretty much covered it. So.
Actually, Tom, didn't you go to the Indiecade?
Oh, right.
I did. I got to check one game today called Manifold Garden. It's been in development for about 6 years by one guy, so it's interesting to see what kind of product that it turns into. But it's basically a game like MC Escher type drawings, and you can basically walk on any wall and kind of rotate around the game world, and cubes can only move when you're on one side of the wall, so you have to figure out the correct placement of them. And I basically thought to myself, okay, I'm going to get to this point where I finally get stuck, but I got maybe 15 minutes into it before I got like too hard of a puzzle to keep moving, so it's pretty promising. It's got a neat kind of portal effect where the levels will go forever, where you can kind of drop down and slowly move your way to the other side too. So it's a pretty impressive sort of line drawing with simple flat shaded colors style too. It's very unique if you see it.
All right.
Put it on the watch list.
Yeah.
That's right.
Sure. Perfect.
Yeah, so I think that pretty much covers most of day one. Is there anything? I mean, we had a few other opportunities. We talked to Bill as from Nintendo Treehouse. There was a talk to Suda51.
Yeah.
And after seeing No More Heroes 3, which we suspected was going to be his announcement, because obviously they set up the interview ahead of time. They wouldn't tell us what it was, but we're pretty sure we know what it's going to be. Especially because I think we had heard the voice actor was supposed to be there. I don't believe he was at the time of the interview. But yeah, how was that? How was talking to Suda? Do you have any highlights for us from the interview that may tease people to go check out the full thing?
We figured out where in the timeline No More Heroes 3 takes place. Watch the video if you want to find out. We found out exactly what the deal is with Travis looking kind of old and haggard and then emerging rejuvenated from that robot suit. And we also asked him a question about an obscure wrestling game that has an incredibly dark ending.
Yeah, and we increased his project scope. by
Yeah,
asking for
we
features.
Game Explain
Nice.
added a feature to No More Heroes 3. You're welcome.
Dear God.
Can you say what that feature is?
8-bit minigames, and that's actually all credit to Tom on that.
I'm down for that.
Yep, thanks to the power of the Unreal Engine.
Very nice. I guess before we wrap it up, I just want to bring up a couple games from the Direct
Yes,
that we didn't
please.
touch on.
Yeah.
Which one are you thinking?
I'm so excited to talk about Animal Crossing.
Yes, I'm like there was
Take it away.
a glaring hole here. Yeah, go for
Oh
it.
my gosh, it's so charming. I love it. Like everything is so alive. It's moving. Even the little weeds are flowing in the wind. It just looks.
Yeah, you don't want to
so
chop them down anymore. Like
I
you feel
know,
bad for
they're
the
like
weeds.
grass that's giving ambient charm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
There's a vibrant motion to absolutely everything. You're
Yeah.
totally right. And the shading too just brings this world to life. It's so jolly.
Yes.
There's a part where they showed during winter, and the way like the snow sort of reflects the sun, it just looks so good and jolly and inviting. I can't wait to give this a go.
And pole vaulting through the river.
That was
great.
my favorite thing, I think. Yeah.
I'm so excited.
I would like
no
that.
more bridges.
I would like that more, but it reminds me of Star Wars. So
Well, there are planes now, so you can fly, I guess.
Is anyone let down by the delay? Because honestly, I'm not
I've
feeling
not seen.
disappointed.
I've not seen
all.
anybody complain about it online. That's
No,
the
I
thing.
want a good
There might be a few,
Animal
but
Crossing.
Yeah.
I'm okay waiting to get that perfect
You
Animal
know-
Crossing on Switch.
I think if it looked the same way all the previous games looked, people would be a little more upset. But when you see that this is clearly
It's a big
heavily
step up.
upgraded visually,
Yeah.
it's more than worth the wait. And you know, Nintendo has this great way of outlining things that they know annoy people in their games and showing you like, hey, we fixed this. We're not going to call it out, but we definitely fixed this thing you hate.
Nintendo does have this way of like, under delivering with the first trailer or the reveal trailer, and the second one kind of blows it out. We saw that again with Luigi's Mansion 3 today. Bunch of games.
all the
but
way
yeah.
back in 3D World.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, and speaking of making good on something that people were not happy with them on, they did randomly announce during Treehouse Live today about Mario Maker 2. They're gonna look at playing with friends again. Like they're gonna take a second look at that, and I guess maybe the outcry was loud enough that they were like,
I feel like it's more like a first look.
Right.
a first look. Yeah, good
During an
point.
interview with Bill Trinan, he basically said that this is something they wanted to put in the game to start with, but just didn't have enough time to.
Right.
Oh, okay.
So I'm sure the backlash had something to do with like boosting the profile forward, but it's great that it's coming, because it's something that like Mario Maker 2 looks like a brilliant game, and this was the thing holding it back.
Yeah, it's something that I feel like they probably should address sooner, because that's like overshadowed all the preview coverage, it seemed.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's good that they're making that change, because of course, like people want to play with their friends all the time.
Yeah.
Beyond Animal Crossing, there's of course Zelda. We didn't touch on
Right.
the new Breath of the Wild 2, which is a huge freaking surprise.
Yeah.
My only concern is I hope they're not pulling a Metroid Prime 4 here, right? Like we saw we did see actual like in-engine gameplay, not gameplay, but like in-engine cinematics. But we have no idea what the release date is.
I suspect it's further along than we think it is.
I hope so.
I think
it has been over 2 years now since Breath of the Wild.
Right, and the Link's Awakening team isn't necessarily the Breath of the Wild team.
No.
There's
It's probably the
Oh,
Link
yeah.
Wilds team, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and it looks weird, which I love.
I love that.
Yeah.
It looks like Harold Castle's going to space. Like,
There's some interesting lore going on with Ganondorf.
yeah.
Right, and it just looks really dark and really just
Yeah.
like the way who we think is Ganondorf's core, like the way his neck kind of snaps sideways, and it's just it gave me like a macabre vibe that I'm not used to from Zelda, other than Majora's Mask. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say like Majora's Mask.
It
Ocarina.
was and I think Al Newman said today in an interview that it wasn't directly necessarily they didn't set out to have it be inspired by Majora's Mask, but that they're definitely going for a darker vibe.
I'm just gonna say my favorite Zeldas have been the ones with darker elements. A Link to the Past had a literal dark world. Majora's Mask has some very dark themes going on there, and this game looks like it's really kind of stepping it up here.
Hopefully
into
more story based as well.
that'd be
That's what
nice.
I'm hoping
It seems
for.
to be, right?
Yeah.
Link and Zelda seem way more intimate.
And short hair.
Yeah, short
hair,
That's
yeah.
the thing, that there isn't much about the game in this trailer, but the little there is, it kind of gives you these breadcrumbs to sort of feed and like just nibble upon until we see more about the game. And with Link and Zelda being more intimate and Ganondorf being a humanoid character, will Ganondorf be more personal in this game? Will he speak? Will we hear Ganondorf speak for the
I mean, I
first
feel
think
like
we
we
will.
will. Yeah,
Right.
It's gonna happen. Like Ganondorf coming back, and there's been a lot of comparisons between Ghibli films and Breath of the Wild. Just the look and the vibe, and a lot of people have gotten. And common thing of Ghibli films is cutting off the hair, like long hair, in order to be more action focused.
Right.
So we might get playable Zelda, or at least I would actually really love to be able to switch between Link and Zelda at any time.
Well, there's one
That
point
would
in
be
the
cool.
trailer that we pointed out in the analysis where Zelda clearly crumbles away from Link, whereas
Yes.
Link is on a totally different path, so they might separate at
It'd be
certain points.
really cool if you had to work together through dungeons, like
Yeah.
switching between
That would
the
be
two.
neat.
That
Co-op,
would be-
maybe?
Yeah,
Yeah.
co-op.
Please,
Yeah.
please be
Yeah.
more in depth than Resident Evil 4's. Even though that's good,
Yeah,
like,
Just
bit
goes,
more.
Follow me.
That's all we can do.
Again, the dumpster.
Will we get 900 more Korok seeds? in this
God, I hope not.
Oh man,
That kind of well, go ahead.
Well, it's like, what are we gonna do with Hyrule?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. So it's kind of interesting for a few different reasons. One, this seems to be like a direct if not sequel, directly connected to Breath of the Wild. We see the actual world there, which is something we haven't seen since really, more recently, I guess, between A Link Between Worlds, which is effectively the same world.
But I do wonder if the point is if we're leaving Hyrule.
That's what I wonder.
Right.
Like, is that a tease? Like, does it take place within the same world to some extent, or are we really going somewhere else entirely new? If I had to guess, I feel like they are going to reuse the existing world to some degree, beyond just like cinematics.
It'd be interesting if Hyrule's developed, so the towns are more developed. There's more towns. Some of the broken ones have become developed, and there's also a new area you can go to.
Yeah.
So.
I've said one of my favorite things about games before is revisiting areas from previous games, but in a new light, like whether it's different or upgraded in some way or changed. And I think that could be really interesting in Breath of the Wild. However, at the same time, how big that world is, I don't think it can change all that much or much of it. So
This is one big change, though. There might be dungeons.
that's true.
Yeah, there's
Right.
that Claw Palace thing.
Right. So if that's the case, then that was one of the big complaints about Breath of the Wild for some people. It wasn't the traditional Zelda, and this might be addressing that complaint.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Nintendo is very good about, okay, that didn't quite work. Let's try to address these concerns while continuing to do what works so well. Dungeons, more story. People love this Zelda. It's a very good Zelda. Have her be a bit more proactive and finally putting her in the limelight, I think, would do a lot.
Do you guys think we'll get elements of from 100 years ago, like the champions, and do you think they might actually let us either play that era or at least delve more into it?
I
want
like
more
it,
of
but
an
I don't see it happening.
Yeah.
I want more of an emphasis on the modern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the vibe in the trailer was this eerie, spooky vibe, and they put a lot of emphasis on Link and Zelda seeming to be alone, in this unsettling environment. So I don't think we're going to see them surrounded by a bunch of allies in this game.
Right.
And I think, like John said, it's probably a lot further along than we think. And I think it also ties into what Andre said, because they're probably going to reuse a lot of stuff from Breath of the Wild.
That's
Majora's
Because
Mask.
that's the only way you turn around a game, with
That
the world
big.
outside
Exactly.
that fast.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, Link and Zelda are both wearing champions tunics. I do not want the modern champions. I hate the Goron modern champion.
Yeah.
No.
Was it Yang Bangu or something?
Oh, yeah, whatever.
Yeah. They're all lame.
Riju's probably the
Stay in Breath
best.
of the Wild.
Well, Riju and Sidon.
Oh.
Those two
Those
are
are
cool.
yeah,
Simon
yeah.
can come back.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of potential here. There's so many different things they could do, and what do you think? 2020 or 2021?
Oh,
I'm feeling holiday 2020.
I do think 2022, but with the
Yeah.
very likely possibility it gets pushed to early 2021.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
That's
totally
it. That's
saying
it.
2020 and then getting delayed.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, that's exactly. I fully expect a
Yeah.
2020 release date. I don't expect it to necessarily hit that though.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe
So-
it gets 2020 release date, but it gets pushed to the March release date of the original Breath
Yeah,
of the Wild.
they're gonna Animal Crossing it.
Yeah.
It's funny that we're likely going to get a sequel to Breath of the Wild that we just found out about before Metroid Prime 4, and by likely I mean definitely.
Yeah.
No,
But actually, yeah.
So weird, right?
With
Nope.
Zelda, they could build off the previous one. With Metroid, they scrapped everything.
Right.
Yeah. From scratch.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, no retro.
No retro.
No Metroid.
No Metroid. Yeah,
No.
we weren't expecting Metroid.
No.
No, we
Yeah.
weren't.
It's like, hey,
I was
guys,
hoping
I
for
miss
a
you.
Mercury Steam Metroid game, but nothing from that.
So what do you guys think? Do you think there is still a project Retro is working on lurking around there somewhere that we just haven't seen, or is all hope gone? It's Metroid Prime 4. That's it.
I don't think there can be just Metroid Prime 4. We went so long from Tropical
Yeah.
Freeze to where we are
Yeah.
now. They can't just scrap all of their projects.
I still think there is something.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
so. I just think it's in like massive development hell. Like there's been
Really, my guess would be that it's actually near. I think it's actually either ready or near being done, and they're just holding off for a
Okay.
different time. Probably sometime next year to
They
release it.
probably had characters and they put Star Fox on it. Then they took Star Fox off. Then they put Star Fox on again.
I gotta say,
Time Patrol.
yeah,
yeah.
we have a hell of a fall coming up because
Yeah.
July is filled with Dragon Quest Builders and Fire Emblem. We got Astral Chain in late August, right into a September where it's just Zelda, Dragon Quest 11S, insert game name here. I'm forgetting all of them, but there are so many September
Super
releases.
Mario Maker in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna be packed.
Like, we all went into this presentation kinda like with low expectations, and they were blown out of the water. This entire year looks fantastic. Next year looks promising too, with Animal Crossing and maybe Breath of the Wild sequel. And the thing is E3 isn't it. Nintendo have like E3 basically all year round with directs.
Yeah.
So to have such a strong presentation when they didn't need to have all of it now is just exciting.
And what's kind of
Yeah.
cool too is there weren't really a ton of first party reveals. I mean, we had Breath of the Wild, which was huge, obviously, but that was mostly it.
Yeah.
But it shows like you don't need like to reveal games to have a good showing. You just need to show good things about the games we know about.
Or you know,
Yeah.
actual gameplay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nintendo, for showing actual gameplay. Even a lot of the third-party games showed gameplay, which is something we've been missing. I mean, it seemed like it was worse this year than even in the years past. That we just weren't getting much gameplay for most of the conferences, and Nintendo came through, which they tend to do, which is why I think part of the reason why I was let down by Halo. Like we didn't see how it played. I don't care about the story. I want to know how Halo plays. Whereas with Nintendo games, or most of them, we saw how they play, with the exception of Breath of the Wild 2.
Right.
Right. I would be remiss, since you, Derek, were talking about summer and the rest of the year, how crazy it is. Sometime during the summer, we haven't mentioned this, Dragon Quest Hero, or rather 4 of them, are coming to Smash, which, yeah, I mean, like, I'm not personally a huge Dragon Quest fan, but I'm super happy for them. And 4 different heroes is way better than Erdrick.
With a Mega Man like Final Smash.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
That is straight down Dragon Quest fans' alley. That is like perfect. It's the closest you're going to get to Goku in Smash.
Exactly. Yeah, that's
Hey.
We're saying that Dragon Quest needs this. It needs a Western push.
Yeah.
And Nintendo are pushing hard.
Oh, yeah.
11S, the Builders 2, and now there's 4 different Dragon Quest heroes.
Go from Builders 2 into Dragon Quest into DLC to 11S, like build that up. And the game 11S really is fantastic, and the Switch version is the definitive version. Play that game.
Right.
Yeah, please.
I went
So
crazy.
good.
I went crazy when I saw the 8 hero, and I guess that's because like, every hero is different to someone else.
Yeah.
Some people probably lost at the 11 one, and so on.
The 4 one and the 3 one. I'm sure Japan lost it for Erdrick.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, they almost. I wonder if they should have reversed it in Japan. Show Banjo first there, then
right.
I do think it's clever to focus on the 11 protagonist though as like the main one.
I agree.
While Erdrick is classic, I don't think he's not current enough, and so the West would be like, "Who this?"
Right.
It ties into 11S too.
Exactly.
It's perfect for that.
Get them used to it, and
Yeah.
the mechanics they have, like actual having the menus you choose between for all the magic and abilities.
Yeah.
That's very unique. Not even Cloud has that sort of thing. It's some good ideas, some really clever things they're doing with this, and please let Dragon Quest get some love so we can get other Dragon Quest ports on the Switch.
Right.
And please give us more than 2 Dragon Quest songs, please.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
right. And don't let them be MIDI. No MIDI.
Yeah, no,
tracks.
yeah, please.
We got Orchestra coming to 11S. Yeah.
Yeah. We have like Cloud versus Joker versus 4 different Dragon Quest heroes.
Yeah.
The big JRPG battle. Shulk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Banjo,
Exactly.
Classic JRPG character.
the classic JRPG hero. Yeah. All right. And with that, I think it's about time for us to wrap it up. So thank you so much for watching our Day 1 wrap-up discussion. And of course, stay tuned to Game Explain for tons more from E3. We have videos we captured today we haven't been able to upload yet. We'll have more tomorrow. And of course, we'll have a Day 2 wrap-up as well, plus Day 3, and it never ends. So thanks for watching, and we will catch you later. Oh, also, if you want to buy these shirts, click the links below. There's like a cool little stuff there. All right, catch you later. Bye.
Bye.